You'll remember I was concerned. I mean, in 1914, Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist, as I recall. And because the Austrian Empire that he represented and the Serbs had all these, interlocking, we'll defend you if you're attacked kind of agreements. You had country after country declaring war on each other simply because they had to, or they felt, compelled to by nationalist sentiments. And we ended up with World War I. And to this day, nobody knows why World War I was really fought, other than that, you had all these stupid treaties. And here we are today. And Ukraine has a defense treaty with NATO. And they have a defense treaty with Russia. And, I have speculated about, what might be the flashpoint if we were to see a 1914 scenario play out that leads to World War III. What would be the flashpoint? There was a time when we thought it was going to be Cuba, when I was a kid. There was a time when we thought it was going to be Germany. Actually, I remember the Berlin airlift. More recently, I've suggested that it might be, in fact, and it still might be, these islands in this large chunk of water off the coast of the Philippines, and the water, and the air territory off the coast of the Philippines that China has claimed, and more recently, that was 6-8 months ago, and more recently the one off the coast of Japan, and now the Japanese and the U.S. are penetrating that airspace. Could that be it? Because we have a defense treaty with Japan, and China has one with Russia, and boom, there you go, off to the races. Japan has one with Western Europe. But the Ukraine, this is how I grew up with it. It was the Ukraine. Ukraine means border, but it's Ukraine. But Ukraine, the eastern half of Ukraine is ethnically Russian. They all speak Russian. The western half of Ukraine is ethnically Ukrainian and more European, and they all speak Ukrainian. Not all is a horrible overgeneralization, but this is pretty much. The eastern half is the breadbasket. It's sort of like our Midwest. The western half is more rural. It's more like eastern Oregon or Idaho. Mountains and trees and they speak different languages. The Yushchenko, the current president of Ukraine, just learned to speak Ukrainian in his 50s. And so this is a very, 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 this is a country that could very easily, in my opinion, fall into civil war. And John Kerry was blowing off steam about it last weekend, which I was complaining about on Monday on the radio on this program. I was saying, I don't think this is a good idea. And now this story of this American diplomat, a couple of American diplomats talking about which Ukrainian politicians they were going to basically put or keep in power, without getting into all the minutia of it, was put up on YouTube and then tweeted by the Russians, and they're saying, hey, you're messing in the internal affairs of Ukraine, which is on our border. This is the equivalent of the Russians interfering in the internal affairs of Canada. How would we feel about that? What if we discovered that the Trans-Pacific Pipeline was actually, something that had been set up by Moscow? And what if Canada, what if the secession movement in Quebec was, really had reached the point where people were like burning cars and lighting cities on fire, which is going on in Ukraine? It's a tinderbox. So I'm just, I'm concerned about this. And I think we all need to keep an eye on this.